Here we are. Hello, my lovey. Welcome to another Joy du Jour. Today, I am lucky enough to be with Iris Goldfeder, and we are going to talk about what other people have to use this to say things about you or to do things to you or whatever. And we all feel like it's all about us. And yet, it's
It's
actually
not.
none of our business.
Well, and it's not just that. It's that it's 9 out of 10. It's not about us. It's like, one of the things that something happened to me recently, and it was about the. Oh, actually, Annie always pulls me off the ledge. She's like so good at it. And I forgot what it was, but it was. Well, it doesn't matter. But it was something that I was like, oh my god, like this person thinks this, and she's like, no, actually they don't. And I've gotten to a point in my life, right, that it's like 97% of the time, because there's still that 3%, right? 97% of the time, I don't care what people think about me. I mean, I just don't. I know my journey. I know how far I've come. I can be humble, but I can also be real, and I'm badass. I know I'm badass. I've overcome a lot, right? So, and I know I'm a lot of fun. So there's like a lot of things, but I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but nobody's everybody's cup of tea.
No one is. Exactly. 100%. We do not get a 100% like rate. No one does. Absolutely no one.
I'm going to close this. The sun is coming into. Oh wait, that didn't even help. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. But what we were talking about earlier was, I do my mindfulness every week. And every time we do, we always pull cards. And today they were really good. It was like the 10 of coins, the 9 of pentacles. But then I had unconditional love and faith in the process. And a lot of stuff that has been coming up for me has been about love and about, being in love when you're not like being in love, but being in love.
Right. Existing in a space of love.
Thank you. Okay. Because I'm trying to bring that in.
Right.
Yes, existing and coming from a place of love, right? Yeah. And knowing that not everybody has our heart, like we were talking about that. I posted that thing on Facebook. And not everybody is going to see things the way we do, react to things the way we do, and they're not going to be coming from the same set of morals that we do.
Right. Everyone's different. Whether they're your sibling, your friend, a colleague, whoever it is, we're all different from each other. And we all love to tell ourselves stories about why things are happening and what other people think. And we're filling in that gap based on our thoughts, experiences, we're assuming they understand what we intend behind what we're doing. When hey, let's hear it from my neurodivergence. I don't know what you're thinking or feeling unless you tell me. I will not pick it up from your body language. I will not understand it from your facial expression. That's not in my intelligence. It just isn't.
Yeah. See, and I'm big on body language. Body language to me screams at me. Sorry, my nose is itching. But it does. Like body language, I'm just like, that's not a thinking thing. That's like for me, it's like I read the room really well, and body language is one of those. Okay.
I have learned to read facial expressions, but I have to be thinking about it. Like if someone's smiling and their eye is crinkling, they're really smiling. As opposed to, like, hi, how are you?
Hi, how you doing?
I look like a robot, but whatever.
Yes. I mean, yeah. So, and I think one of the cool things is that we're such a diverse species, right? Because we are, and we're all the same species. Sorry, people. No one's better than anybody else. We're not, right? Whether we're white, black, purple, whatever the hell, we're still the same species. It doesn't matter. And being as we're this incredible species that has all of these amazing attributes, we get to think better than any of the other creatures on this planet most of the time. And we have opposable thumbs and we can like do all these really cool things, right? But we're all fallible. We're not
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
And there are times where we expect perfection from ourselves, not anymore, but we used to. I mean, I like, well, in the call, and yesterday Sunny was like, oh gee, Iris doesn't expect, like Iris's level of this is here. And it's like, yes, and I'm really trying to work on that
Sure.
because just because of what I've built and where I am, I have a certain, I will say, expectation, and I'm trying to get rid of that expectation
That's
because I
fair.
think when we put expectations on ourselves or others, that's when we're disappointed.
Exactly. And let's go a little further with that train of thought, that when we are putting our reasoning on others, it's not going to be correct.
No,
It's
no,
absolutely not. We just don't know what their experience is, and if someone's cutting you off, maybe they are a garbage driver, or maybe they're having a heart attack. Like,
right.
or they're racing to the hospital because their loved one has just been admitted.
We froze live. Crud.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I was just saying we froze live. Was that
That's
you? Was that your
wild.
side or my?
I don't know. That was I just
I
have a
was going
little
to start
tingle in
dancing or
that.
doing something.
Sorry about that, folks. But, yeah, free of
Technology.
charge. Yeah, free of charge to, give somebody the benefit of the doubt, to
Yeah,
do an exercise and think of why would someone be driving that way, to go back to that example, or, why would their expression be like this? Well, maybe they can't see, maybe the sun is too bright, maybe,
right.
maybe they're about to sneeze, like, like, they're, like, struggling to not sneeze or whatever,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to do with you. It absolutely
yeah,
does not, and what other people do, say, whatever, that's on them. How you behave with the knowledge of whatever was said or happened, that's how you show the world who you are.
100%. A
And if you
hundred
can't,
percent.
yeah, if you're too reactive and you can't figure out how to calm it down, play the part. Make it an acting exercise. How would the part of you be played by Meryl Streep as an elegant, reasonable, uh, intelligent person? What does that look like?
Yeah,
And behave that way. When in doubt, behave in a way you'd be proud of in 5 years.
that's like amazing advice. Like I never thought of that. Um, and it's funny. I get Variety every week, and Meryl Streep is on the cover. So the fact that you said that to me is just like so funny. Um, but yeah, it's like you know, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but I think if you're in a situation that you're unsure of, err on the side of the positive, not the negative,
Yeah. Why not?
right? I mean, you'll feel a lot better. Number one. Number two, the room will feel a lot better because there'll be this positive energy, right? That's being
Mhm.
put out as opposed to this, like, what the hell kind
Yep.
of thing. And I think that one of the biggest things for me is I always want to help. Like if somebody comes to me, I'm going to solve their problem because they came to me and I'm going to fix it. And it's not my job to fix everybody's problem. And that has been such a hard, not just a hard lesson, a hard practice
Yeah.
to be like, not my circus, not my monkey.
Yep. And to let them
Um,
figure it out.
ugh, and it's so hard, especially when they come to me. And so I'm really working on that. I will always help where I can, but if there's something that is overreaching, I need to just be like, you have to go through the right channels or whatever it is, right?
Mhm,
And that's
mhm.
really hard for me.
The pattern of whether it's helpfulness, or whatever, excuse me, whatever your shtick is, whatever that bent is that you learned as a kid, or you just came out of the chute that way. Like it's very difficult to unwire that.
Yeah.
And it's taking the pause is something that I've learned to do because I can think and speak very, very quickly and very reactively. So no one needs that in their life. Certainly I don't.
I
And
mean,
I
we,
don't want to
yes, we
hurt
both,
other
you and
people.
I are very alike like that. Like, what,
Yes.
what, what? Yeah.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
hundred. Yeah. And taking the pause and getting curious about the feeling has served me very, very well. And just being
Mm.
like, oh, I'm feeling enraged or I'm feeling exuberant or like whatever the emotion is, interesting. And so once I identify it, I can let it not be a part of me, and then I can respond to something using, reasoning, using my instincts, however I want to, but it's not a reaction.
It's not that knee jerk reaction, that like immediate, oh, see, I like
Yeah.
that. And that's what I need. Cause I think just in general, I've gotten better at making decisions. So decision making that's been a whole different level where I where I
Nice.
where I take that pause and I take a minute because it used to be like, hey, what about this? Oh, hell yeah, let's do it. And then it would be like, ooh, why'd I say yes? So I can't tell you how many times. So now it's like, hey, let's do this. And I'm like, let me think on that
Yes.
and I'll get back to you. Um,
Beautiful.
and that was freaking hard.
Very
Like hard,
difficult. Yeah.
like really hard. So to be able to do that, to me, I know there's hope as far as the other reactionary stuff. That it's like, well, if I can do that, then I can definitely do this. And I see
Yes.
so many people out there that, especially now, there's so much, I'll say, unrest and anger and meanness out there that, I'm going to sneeze in a second. Oh, excuse
Bless
me.
you.
Thank you. Okay. Um, that to see any bit of kindness is like oh, yeah. I want to grab onto that.
I
Um,
was I was talking earlier with someone about the dopamine hit, and I say we're all junkies because we're
oh,
all
yeah,
doing things to serve that dopamine hit, whether it's
yeah,
like you said, being helpful or oh, I'm saying what's on my mind because I'm authentic. Well, is it authentic or are you hurting someone's feelings on purpose?
right.
Like what if you got curious about whatever it is you think is offending you and let it go.
I don't think that. I mean, I think hurting people. I don't think there's any authenticity in that. I think you're just an asshole, and that's just not cool. I mean,
Fair.
if you are purposefully hurting somebody, then to me that's bullshit. If you say something that hurts somebody and you didn't realize that you did, see, that's where the forgiveness and the apology comes in, right? Because that's
Right.
when you could be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that that would offend you or that would hurt you. Or I
Yes.
didn't think before I spoke.
That was thoughtless, 100%. Like, that's
100%, right?
because things come out of this situation all the time that I'm just like, "I'd like to take that back." But, just because it wasn't clearly thought of, I didn't think it through, or I'm not presenting it the way I want to, or I'm saying
Right.
something I think is hilarious, but is actually just, horribly dated and wrong, because I went to school in the '70s, like, teachers were smoking in the teachers' lounge. I was raised in different times. So, it's just hilarious to me how we get to
And
tell
yes,
ourselves stories, and we choose to tell ourselves these stories, and then we get to select and question ourselves if it's true.
well, I think that, in the world that we grew up in, because we're close to the same age, it was a different world and things that not even that it was accepted, it was just the way that it was. And we
Right.
didn't know any better. And it's like, you know, what is that saying? Do do better when you know better, or something like that.
Yes,
So
yes,
you know better, now you do better. Um,
100%.
and for me, that's like, I try to live like that every day. I try to learn something new every day so that I can do better, so that, you know, I'm not offensive. I mean, you know, I'm sure I fall short every once in a while, but for the most part, that's like my goal, is to
Right.
make sure that, you know, I don't offend anybody. Um, Not intentionally anyway. Um, and and that each day I'm better than I was the day before.
And I think that speaking intentionally, like having that intent that you're
Hmm.
not trying to, say things that are, whatever ist, racist or ageist or sexist. And I catch myself saying sexist stuff all the time because that's just my automatic go to. That's part of my subconscious that I have not successfully reprogrammed yet.
Right.
And so I get to keep working on that, that there is no reason that gender should come into play for X, Y, or Z. So why am I referring to anything other than they? Because it's people. It's just
Right.
people. So why not just use that terminology? And quite frankly, the fact that it's plural and singular, mwah, chef's kiss. Love
Thank
it.
you. You know, my wife had a problem with that. She goes, it was so funny because I know a lot of trans people. Um, and you know, it took me a while. Like, you know, instead of saying she and saying they, um,
Mhm.
like Erin Baker is one of my dear friends, and they are trans. Um, and they are they. And I know that they are they, but it took me a really, really, probably longer than it should have, to keep remembering they.
It's a
Um,
habit. Yeah, it's just a habit.
it is. And then my wife, um, said, you know, she said, it makes no sense, you know, no offense, but I just don't understand. I said, I know. I said, you're thinking of they in the plural. I
Mhm.
said, but if somebody leaves the room and they shut the light off, is that more than one person? And she was like, oh. I said, right. Somebody used our bathroom. They didn't put the seat down. Is that
Right.
more than one person? So it's singular and it's plural.
It always
So
has been. Yeah.
it always has been. And the fact that people are taking offense at that, that stuff pisses me off, because to me, it's like, you know what? Live your own damn life. Worry about, if everybody worried about their own shit, we would be
Ah,
in the best world ever. But everybody has to get into everybody's business. Everybody has to have an opinion on whatever. You know, it's like, you do your religion, you do your thing. Let everybody else do their thing. Why do you have to control everything? You don't.
mhm.
And guess what? You don't.
You can't.
You can't.
It is impossible. And so it's
You
just
can
like
try.
the stoic exercise of the circles. You've got a big circle with all of your concerns. You have a much smaller circle of what you can affect change on.
Right.
So focus on that smaller circle because
This. And I'm not doing
yeah,
the W sign, like this. How's that?
yeah,
This.
yeah. It's minuscule, and it's typically what's in between your ears.
Right.
So, if you can think about things in a joyous, happy way, would you want to? Okay, well, what would that look like? Get curious.
Right.
You don't have to be on the brink of a blow up 24/7. You're
Right.
basting in cortisol, stress hormone, that is it's just gonna make you sick.
You know, yeah. And it was funny because the last like few days, not that it was funny, I had agita, like heartburn, like nobody's business. And I used to have acid reflux years ago.
Mhm.
I haven't had it in, I can't tell you how long. And it just came out of nowhere and it was bad. And I'm like, what is, like, I'm happy. Nothing is bothering me. Like, where is this coming from? So clearly there's something somewhere that was causing me, you know, some kind of stress. I did my mindfulness today,
Uh-huh.
um, which I'm always like night and day, because, you know, I go into it and I was like, man, I really don't want to do this today. And, you know, and she knew, you know, like she's like, okay, we're going to start with a 2-minute meditation, and I was like, okay. And I'm thinking 2 minutes in my head, and we're sitting there, and she's guiding it longer. And in my head, I'm like, that's longer than 2 minutes. That's not what she said. Right. And she knew exactly what I was thinking. It was hilarious. She goes, I knew you were thinking it. And I went on even more because I was like, well, tough. She's just going to suck it up. But that's like on a positive thing. Right. But I think that, one of the things that we were talking about was coming from a place of love and knowing that not everybody's journey is ours, right? Everybody has their own journey.
Yep.
You have no idea what somebody's going through. I mean, I have had people treat me like absolute shit in my life. And I see now that it was theirs, not mine.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it gives anybody permission to treat anybody like crap, because it doesn't.
Right.
But if somebody is treating you really poorly, that is not you. That's them.
Nope.
There is something within them that they despise, they whatever, and they're taking it out on you for whatever reason, because they see something in you that whatever.
Or they're just unhappy.
Or they're just unhappy. I
It
mean,
doesn't have to be a reason. Like applying logic to everything, when we are in an emotional space, there may be no logic. They could just be hurting.
yeah.
They're in
Yeah,
pain.
but
They're
I'm not
flashing.
okay. That whole hurt people bullshit. Assholes hurt people. I'm done with it, because like somebody was like, well, hurt people, and it's like, no, I've been hurt. I don't hurt people. I'm not an asshole. If you hurt people on purpose, then to me, there I've
I
been
have
guilty.
definitely hurt people, and it was because I was in serious pain emotionally and mentally. So I do think that that can happen, and I don't think that I'm a bad person. I do think that I've had struggles, and
Mhm.
I haven't behaved as well as I would prefer. But I'm not
Have you
gonna.
learned?
Oh yeah, definitely,
That's what
100%.
I
It
mean.
took years in some cases,
But
but
you
I did.
learned. There are
Yeah,
some people that still do the same shit.
I did it for years. I was just filled with rage at, my upbringing, my parents, the everything, and I just couldn't process it and let it do anything other than consume me. I was a
Wow.
wreck.
See, I
That's why I
can't.
do what I do now.
Yeah, because I can't see you being mean. But I mean, I was mean too. And you're right. I mean, it comes from that. But again, I think we learn from it. And I
Yes.
know it takes years, but if if you know it and somebody brings it to your attention and you don't do anything about it, then to me, you don't want to do anything about it. And that's just my opinion. But if you know that your behavior kind of sucks and you're hurting people, and it's pointed out that you're hurting people, and then you don't look within, or you don't try
Mhm.
to figure out what it is, then to me, that's because if somebody's telling you at that point,
Yeah.
hey, you're really hurting people and you don't care, there's a difference.
And here's an interesting thing, and then I think, we've completed this. I don't wanna just beat a dead horse, but, when I couldn't understand why I was always swept away with emotion, and that I had the ability to take a pause, to identify the emotion, to get curious about why I was having it, and, just to let it exist, experience it, and then go. I had to learn that.
Right.
And so that's just a thought. And, we fill in all kinds of blanks, whether we
Yeah.
say, like, they're a jerk because they're doing X, Y, or Z, or whether we tell ourselves, man, how terrible must it be to be that person, to feel like that and behave like that? Ah,
And
yuck,
I,
yuck.
yes. However, I kind of feel that, and so I'll agree partially with that, because I feel that some people just don't want to change. Like they know and they don't care. And I've seen that. Like I've had a conversation with somebody and they were literally like, well, if you don't like it, that's your problem. And it was like,
Interesting.
yeah. And it was like, okay, then that's who you are, and that's fine. That's
Yep.
that's you.
And this
Um,
and this is my boundary that I'm gonna say, You're right. It's just
100%.
my
Yes,
problem.
this is
Stay
yes,
away from me.
yes, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. There are some people that know that don't care, and there are other people that know and they don't know how to get there,
Right, right.
right?
You're right.
So I think that if you don't know how to get there and you want to get there, there's a difference than being that person and not caring and
Okay.
knowing it and being like, yeah, whatever. Because
Intention
I've
matters.
come across them and it's just been like, wow, so you're really okay being that person? And yeah, though, okay, that's your journey. For whatever reason, I believe we choose our journey before we pop out of the womb. You chose that for whatever reason. That doesn't have to be part of my journey.
Right. Exactly. And that's a gorgeous way to release it and not have it, sticking in your craw or whatever antiquated phrase you want to use. Yeah.
All right there, Mel. We're gonna say sticking in my craw. So
My Louisiana was showing.
mhm. What do we say in
Ah,
New York? No, I'm kidding.
thank you so much, Iris. I love having these conversations. And we also gave an example of how people can discuss something they disagree on without falling the F apart. Hooray.
Exactly. I mean, yes, and it's okay to not agree on everything, and it's also okay to have different points of view because I know that you and I have had a similar journey on some levels, and it's been really, really, really hard. And we've overcome a lot. Um,
Hmm.
and I think you've had a little bit more than me, but it's not a contest. At the end
No,
of the
no.
day, right? We both overcome a lot of crap. And I think that coming from that place is where we can be more empathetic you know, toward that person who cuts us off. And we're like, what the hell?
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I love you. I love that we can have these conversations and that we can just show that it's okay to agree to
Yeah,
disagree and it's okay to, have a conversation and you don't have to agree on everything, but you can have a lovely conversation.
you're right. And I love the invitation to understand where you're coming from. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're going to get off this thing. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Not my jam.
Um, what?
I just said not my jam. No,
No, mine either at all. No, I think this was wonderful. So thank you for inviting me on and um,
I
getting
appreciate
to,
you so much.
yeah, I appreciate you back.
All righty, ending.